And they kind of are knocking on the door there in San Francisco. Are like, all right, we'll
kind
give
of.
you.
I mean, they just traded for Christian
Well,
McCaffrey.
right. But I'm saying, so like they see that window open, so they say, all right, we'll give you 1 year, Tom Brady. We'll do that. But that brings us to the point of old quarterbacks, because that's
Yes.
what I want to talk about. So we see these teams giving up all these crazy assets. The Denver Broncos basically gave up their stadium to acquire Russell Wilson this past offseason.
And now they're wishing that they could trade it all back to get Drew Lock. Sad.
Matt Ryan is clearly on the back end of his career and is not going to be a contributor for Indianapolis going forward this season as things stand right now. This is a trend that we started seeing probably about 8 years ago, where you take the big bet on the aging quarterback. Why are teams making this bet on themselves that it will pay off? Is it just because Peyton Manning was successful in doing it? Is it just because Tom Brady was successful in doing it? Those two examples? But those are elite of the most elite examples. They're outliers.
Many
are
people,
they not?
I think they are, but many people thought Russell Wilson was in that category with them. Another Super Bowl champion. I'm not sure he's a Hall of Famer. After his performance so far this season, he definitely isn't, even with a Walter Payton Man of the Year and a Super Bowl title and an MVP. And I mean, with Russell, it's one thing because they truly, I think, especially the folks out in Denver, because they were the ones who acquired Peyton Manning when he was released, traded by the Colts, sent off to pasture, left for dead. And so I think that they were like, oh, like we've done this once before, we'll do it again with a completely different quarterback, number one, and number two, a completely different style of quarterback. And yes, they obviously had the playmakers in place already, similar to when Peyton arrived in Denver to an extent. They were super high on obviously their young wide receiving core, who now they are reportedly shopping some of them. Their defense, I do believe, is elite. I do think that Patrick Surtain is a top 5 corner in the league right now. I think Bradley Chubb and that pass rush have been sneaky good. I'm actually kind of concerned for the Jaguars when they go across the pond to face the Broncos in London and go against that defense. But the bigger thing, the reason it worked for Peyton to go to Denver and for Tom to go to Tampa was because part of why they left was that they wanted more of a say in how the roster was constructed and how the team operated. And as we heard, when Tom Brady went down to Tampa, the culture in Tampa changed in an instant. Mm-hmm. When Peyton Manning went to Denver, the culture changed in an instant. We heard that, yes, during the offseason with Russell Wilson, but game 1 against Geno Smith, against his old team, Seattle, when he could have stepped up to the plate and taken ownership, called a timeout because his first-year head coach was floundering on the sideline and didn't know what the time was on the clock, he could have taken ownership and leadership in a situation that a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning would have. And that is why, in that moment, I knew, well, I guess we can't really consider Russ in the conversation with the Peytons and with the Tom Bradys of the world. And I don't think we could before, but now we really couldn't. And it's only gotten worse as the weeks have gone on.
But to make a decision like this, like what the Colts made, acquiring Matt
Ryan. Oh, well, they've done that 4 years in a row, buddy boy.
I understand that. Ever since they were blindsided by Andrew Luck retiring, they have been trying to plug in pieces. But when you're giving up capital, legitimate draft capital, and you're giving up assets to get these aging quarterbacks, you have to be on the brink of winning a championship. Mm-hmm. It is a plug in and play when you acquire one of these aging quarterbacks. And some of them may still have something left. Peyton Manning, keep in mind,
they didn't have a neck.
They had 2 Super Bowl appearances with Peyton Manning, and they lost the first one. And Peyton was much better that season. But it was the second one where he actually wasn't very good at all that they won.
No, we called my friends and I in Iowa, shout out, the Les brothers, we called it the wobble. Whenever Peyton would drop, because they're huge Bronco fans, whenever Peyton would drop back, that was when the wobble, the dance, right. Like when that was really popular.
And that's what the ball was doing that.
Yeah, so we would like stand up as he like launched, he would drop back and the 3 of us would stand up on the couch and we'd be the wobble.
My point being, you have to know that you are knocking on the door of a Super Bowl to make a move. Like the Bucs, they were knocking on the door. They said we're a good quarterback away.
Yeah,
and we can
but
do
see,
this.
the Bucs were what, 8-8 the year before he got there.
If you covered that team, and I did cover that team, you knew the pieces were there and they could do it. They just needed.
They also drafted really well,
and they drafted well, and they had a good coach. Yeah. So you have those things that come together. So my point being here is just that if you're a team that seriously views himself in contention, like perhaps maybe the 49ers next year,
Mhm.
then it's okay to make that move.
Well, that's why I think the Broncos thought they were. The Broncos genuinely thought they were. The Colts are a completely different story.
Yeah.
They are, Jim Irsay and his little gummy action figures have been putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole for the past 5 years.
Oh boy. Well, guys, if you want to have some fun with us here on Out of Bounds, I encourage you head on into YouTube where you can leave your super chat, or you can go to kynchat.com, leave a Know Your News chat before or during a live stream, and you can get it read on air during the course of this conversation. Now, Mia, I'm going to throw up a tweet here. And I want you to tell us what happened. And this is from New York Giants beat writer Art Stapleton.
We're pivoting. Wait, can I go to the Colts first? We already got Art Stapleton up.
I mean, we can if you want.
Let's go to the Colts real quick. I'm going to throw a tweet at you. This is from how do you pronounce? As you know how I have issues with pronunciations. SPOTRAC.
SPO.
It's a sports financial service.
Sport Rack?
Spotrac. You call it Spotrac or Spotrac?
I'm not sure.
Okay, they're the ones that crunch the numbers when it comes to salary. Since 2018, the Colts have spent $145 million in cash for 12 different quarterbacks. That includes the likes of Brad Kaya, Brian Hoyer, Chad Kelly, Jacoby Brissett, Jacob Eason, Sam Ellinger, Brett Hundley, Nick Foles, who I mentioned, $2.6 million this year for riding the bench and being a healthy scratch. Carson Wentz, of course, Phillip Rivers, and then Andrew Luck. What a time.
How about that?
Again, it is a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. That is where it's different than the Broncos. You can't fault the Broncos because they thought that they were there. The Colts have thought they were there for 5 years. And it still hasn't happened.
They just haven't been.
If you want to see all our videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, click the subscribe button below. Otherwise, we'll start posting spoilers about your favorite new movies.